First thing today, take these down to AB. You gotta do them black. Let me show you what they look like. These are the little covers for the S2000. It's not polished, it's like a satin silver. It looks good, but we're gonna do some of these in black. This is our friend Top Gun. He is here for a black valve cover and valve adjustment. He keeps this thing super nice. Bought a H2O exhaust that he's really excited about. Actually comes out the passenger side, but he loves it. I'll show you when he goes up in the air. He said it sounds perfect. This just came Uber from Alexander. Thank you, buddy. You never cease to amaze us. You're going to be here any minute. Hopefully you're going to share this with us because this is a lot of food. And George has some personal things to take care of this morning, so he's not going to be until about 1. So George isn't here, so Esther, you get to drink Alexander's coffee. Or it's George's coffee. Alexander just bought it.
It's my coffee. What are you talking about?
It is. It's yours now.
It's mine.
It wouldn't be any good in the fridge.
Thank you
George
so
ain't going to be here for a while. I wish he just left. I wish he'd have been here. More cabin filters came in. If you guys did place your order for cabin filters, don't panic, we have more come in from Honda. We're getting them as fast as Honda can send them because their stores are obviously, supplies are low, but we just got another 10 in, so we have those. So breathe easy, people. I want to address this real quick. Somebody told me that, actually a couple of people said that they can pry this up and get to this. I didn't want to show that in the video because I'm a little OCD, and when you pry this up, this contacts the bottom of this wiper, and this wiper over here leaves marks on here, and I'm a little bit OCD with my stuff. You can do it, you can pry this up, but just keep in mind on the older cars as that plastic gets brittle, it can sometimes crack. I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying I don't do it that way, but a lot of people made some good points about getting that filter. It is in a tight spot. So I'm getting Esther to help. We have 3 cars, we're going to move them around. So if you want to just put this one, pull it right across the street, I'm going to pull the red one in and put a fan on it, and just pull this one in behind it. Nice. You don't need a seatbelt, we're not going that far. So I'm going to pull this one in and put a fan on it and let it sit all day. So I don't want to drive this any more than I have to, so I'm going to pull this out, pull it right in, and put the fan on it. So there is Esther right there waiting. She's going to pull in behind me. I'll pull this in the shop, put the big fan on it, and then we'll start working on the white one that is between those 2 trucks right there. Alright, so I'll leave that running all day, get this thing cooled all the way down. So to do a valve adjustment, you want to get everything as close to room temperature as possible, not just the outside of the motor, all the internals too. They will actually hold a little bit of heat. You won't realize. There is Esther bringing in right there, turbo CR. This thing sounds so nice, by the way. It's got our quiet exhaust. We did OEM tips, powder coated black. This thing's so nice, isn't it?
It is. The clutch is like butter.
This one, we did the brand new clutch, the brand new install kit, but it had a problem with the bushing on the clutch pedal, which had a click. So we had a squeak in the pedal. Took it apart and found out the bushing that is supposed to be in here, which is a plastic one, was completely gone. We took that apart, we made our own brass bushing. It is even better than factory now. That's something we think we might offer in the future, because we made our own brass bushing, but I might have some made that takes any play or any looseness out of that pedal and makes it so much nicer.
It does. It feels like butter.
Yeah, we really like it. Big difference. All right, so I'm going to leave these chill. So we have red, blue, and I'm going to work on the white one. All right, this one is done. I got to take this off the dyno, and he wants to change the plugs, so I got to gap those and put those in. The plugs that were in it didn't have any issues, didn't have any misfires, so I figured I would just use those plugs, and that way he has a fresh set, and this one is ready to go. AB came back with these pieces in record time. You see how good they look? This is a satin black, so it's not going to have any crazy sheen, but it's easy to clean. It'd just be one of those things that gives you an option. Can think of it being down there. It looks pretty cool. Now what I would do is that beam there, I would black out the beam with some vinyl. That way it doesn't have that color showing through, because obviously there's not a lot of color. Some of the cars are worse than others. Some of them are just primer. So this is a good opportunity to show the customer what it looks like, because he was really interested in how clean it was, and as you see, it is super shiny. All the aluminum is nice bright silver. This is what happens with regular oil changes, by the way. We can see a mile away cars that have been stretched between changes, because this all gets a really dark copper color, and then over time it gets black, because you see all these little pockets and valleys. That's where the oil will sit and start to build up like a residue, and it just gets worse and worse. But this one looks really nice, so he should be happy with this. So Ben from Podimod just brought his Camaro. We're going to be redoing his exhaust. He's got an exhaust that he bought for it, and it doesn't fit too well. It has a little bit of a rattle, and he basically wants it cleaning up but keeping it that original look. Fantastic car, Ben.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to restore it? I don't know if I should this before.
Years, and it's still a work in project.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah, it's never done. Really, truly done.
The fact that he drives it though, it's immaculate, but he drives it. I still think that's as impressive as anything. It's actually a real car. It's not a resto mod. It's actually pretty much what's supposed to be in there, right?
Yeah, and it's a very original car. Day 2 car. Everything's period correct. Nothing's new. It's got reproduction tires on it right now, only because of the trip I had to take to get down to you. Usually there's 50-year-old tires on it even. So yeah, I try to stay period correct with the car.
It's like the
driver.
It's the complete opposite to a resto mod. It's a complete restoration, really. There is Alexander's wife leaving in the CRX. There's Alexander. They're going back to Miami. Thanks again for making that trip. That just made me cringe a little bit. So let's get this up on the lift and we'll show you what's going on. There we go, black valve cover with the gold center. So the question is, Christian, how long are you going to keep this? When are you going to change it?
Never.
I'll give you 2 months.
I didn't even know we had a gold center, so probably pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll probably change it by Christmas, a different color. But so far it looks good. But it looks really good.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. It looks very clean. Cool. All right, let's get Ben to move and we'll let you out of here. Ben's car up on the lift. So we're gonna try and keep what is here. We're trying to keep it looking original, but obviously make it fit. George just loosened this and actually squared this up, but this was crooked.
Getting better.
And that used to, yeah, that was what would drive him nuts, seeing that crooked. So we just loosened it and put it where it's level. This tailpipe here was rubbing the spring really bad. It's loose right now. This side hangs down more. Yeah. He wants those even, wants them to come out in the right spot. He wants them ovaling too, because that was something that the factory did to get more clearance here. We're going to lose this joint here and make this the same diameter. So we're going to basically put 2 new tailpipes on and get them even. Then this section over here, this rubs at this side. It contacts the body. And you can see right there how close it is. This one has a ton of clearance. This one is rubbing. And he doesn't want to do anything exotic, doesn't want to do titanium or stainless with V-bends, because that's not what this build is about. He wants it where it doesn't rub. That looks like it's really close, but it just fits in that little dimple. Maybe we can raise this up and lower this down. Maybe we can extend this a little bit to get some clearance here. That way this looks factory. And this was an exhaust he bought for the car, and it just doesn't fit very well, and it just drives him nuts.
I don't know what, but I think that's about right.
We have these pipes level now. These are actually mufflers. They're kind of weird. They're like a perforated tube. Well, these were the big concern. It was rubbing over here. Well, he informed us he's potentially going to do headers on this thing, so we're not going to spend too much time with this front section because the header is going to change it. And as you see, one pipe is still a little bit lower. This is the one that we didn't touch. This one's a little bit more higher tucked up, but there's still tons and tons of clearance here where it was rubbing this floor, and it was actually rubbing, make sure I don't bang my head here. Ow, I still did it. It was rubbing the tunnel here, so we got clearance here. But in the event he does headers, we're going to remake these 2 sections right here in 100% stainless and make them absolutely perfect. But they're pretty good. They're exactly what he was looking for. They've got that original look. This is the first stainless tailpipe right here. And this is something he wanted. This is what they did factory to get more clearance, is to oval the pipe. And this is 100% stainless, so this will stay. We're going to weld this directly to this. We don't want that ugly clamp. The muffler is now level, and now we just have to line up the other pipe to get exactly the same. Anybody know what this is? I know you guys are probably typing this part number in as I speak, so you can tell us what it is before I finish. This is actually for a good friend of mine, his son. Anybody know Kenji from back in the day? Kenji with the white Type R, white EG, white EK, famous for the Kenji ECU. This is for his son, Jake, which ironically looks just like Kenji. It's like Kenji 20 years ago. He is coming in tomorrow. These parts got here ahead of time. All right, finished. There it is. We got the stainless tailpipes. Look how good they look. And this is how he wanted them, by the way. He didn't want them cut into the body in case somebody says, because we wanted to do that, but that's not how they are. And it's got that slight oval, which is what it had on the other pipes. But they're all welded, no more funny clamps. And this is nice and level.
Make sure we're good. Do you got a rag or a paper towel or something?
That's what your shirt's for, man.
Yeah, there you go.
You have oil stains to know how many times you've checked your oil. Everything's so clean under here.
It looks like a vintage shirt he has on, so I don't know if he wants to do that.
That's the original Putty Mud shirt.
Yeah, that's the original Putty Mud shirt. Yeah. Yeah, and one and only too. Yeah, ever so slightly low.
Do you want some more?
I have it.
Do you want conventional?
I use a 2050 high zinc. I got it in the trunk.
Now's your time if you want to top it up.
Yeah, I might want to put
Is it better than sitting on the side of the road doing it, just in case you get paranoid? Alright, he's going to check the oil and then we'll go ahead and start up and get a sound clip, just see if it did change, because we've removed the reducers. So it's now free flowing 2.5. It might sound a little bit louder. Hard to tell. Does it sound any different? Can you tell?
Yeah, there's no rattle.
That's probably a good thing now. That rattle in the frame would drive you bonkers.
Yeah, this time I'll set the e-brake. Yeah, it doesn't rattle.
The bare raw aluminum is pretty easy to scratch, and honestly it's kind of hard to maintain unless it's got a really good polish on it. I don't know if you've messed around with polished aluminum, but this was like a semi-polished satin, and he said, hey, we have some satin clear that's a really neat finish, and it does. Look at that. If this is something you're interested in, I'm not just trying to sell you these, I'm just giving you ideas too. If you're doing some kind of aluminum, you're looking for a finish, this is a satin clear. It looks cool. It kind of looks like a bead blasted titanium, I think. Well, anyway, we have these offered if you're doing a build. We're not selling them in the store, but we have silver, black, and titanium. Almost out of CRX shirts. We still have a few of our bags with the LHT branded on there, a few different colors left. Let me show you something really cool. Before we started making these, our friend Riz contacted us on Instagram, said, hey, I want to send you a couple of bags, let you check them out and see the quality. These are the original bags. Now the new ones have the LHT branding right here. This one is like a black leather vinyl with the red stitching. This is red with silver. This is kind of like that material that I like. Well, you know what? I'm not going to sell these. I'm randomly going to give them away. So I'm not going to do a competition. I'm not going to make you mail stuff in and jump through hoops. Next order that comes in that's S2000 related, guess what? I'm just going to give you it. How about that? Alright, let's see what we got. Newest order. Alright, so Brian ordered a LHT Master Shift Rebuild Kit and an S2000 Serpentine belt. So I'm pretty sure he has an S2000. Guess what, Brian? You're getting one of our bags. Alright, so this is the Master Shifter Rebuild Kit. So it comes with the foam, the rubber boot, the retainer clip, and then of course the ball and the cage. There's your Serpentine belt. This is the bag you're getting. Hopefully you like it. It doesn't have LHT on it, but hopefully you can find use for it and you're happy with your purchase. Thanks for shopping at LHT, by the way. Alright, so I like to use a lot of bubble wrap, even though that ain't gonna get damaged. I like to pack our boxes pretty tight. George isn't here today. He's going to be here about 1:30, 2 o'clock. He has some more personal business to take care of. And one thing that we're different about, or I think I'm different about, I don't nickel and dime people, and I don't nickel and dime him. I don't say, hey, you need to, you know, lose time, or I'm not going to pay you, because we have a good way of making it when we need it. Like if I say, hey George, you need to work till 9 o'clock, he ain't gonna go, oh, I can't do it. He's gonna go, okay, no problem. I worked for a company in England, I'm not gonna say who it is, but I've always been a hard worker right from the day I left school and went to apprenticeship. I've always had that work ethic. I was drummed into it by my dad. He was always a hard worker. Some people you work for, or some companies you work for, either don't understand that, or they're so in tune with the almighty clock, like every minute has an amount of money connected to it. They tend to nickel and dime you, and they take more than they give, and that makes you want to give less than you could, because you always feel like one person's trying to screw the other. And the perfect example, this company I worked for in England, right until the day I left England, I worked there. I gave him my 2 weeks notice. You know, I'd worked there for 3 years, and I worked hard for this company. And the clown that ran the place would always nickel and dime you. He would basically give you this amount of work, and you couldn't finish until you was done, because it would be working on people's houses. So you couldn't just say, hey, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to say what it is. So you would have to finish. Well, him and the couple of office girls would leave at 5 o'clock. I'll be out with my teammate till 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, and you'd come back and write it down on your time clock. It would come to payday, and you would have to negotiate the hours that you put in, and it was like he was always trying to screw you, and it just really makes you feel like you're getting ripped off, and it makes you not want to do right by the company or him, because he's always like, it says you work till 8 o'clock on Tuesday. I can't see that job taking that long. Well, what was I supposed to do? Just leave it in the middle and come back? So he did that. I vowed if I ever have anybody work for me, I will never do that. And I never have. I hate that. If you keep taking from somebody, they won't give you any more than they have to. They'll do just enough to get by and then go home. But there you go, Brian. Hopefully you enjoy this box. Alright, so Kenji's son's car is here. He's going to take it off the wrecker. I'm going to help him push it in. There is so many clutch options out there, and so many a lot cheaper than this. This is the genuine Honda stuff. I believe it's the best stuff in the world. I really do. If you need more power, obviously you need a stronger clutch, but if you're not forced induction, the factory stuff is the way to go. Unfortunately, it is very expensive, which opens up the doors for all these eBay companies to pop up and sell you a clutch or some items that look just like a clutch, and some of them fall apart and some don't even work, which sucks. It's not a fun job to do. You certainly don't want to do it twice. All right, between jobs, I've got to change the oil on my truck. I change it every 3,500. I don't beat on it or go crazy, but I always like to keep it clean and fresh. So let's take a look, see what it looks like. One thing, the drain bolt is in the perfect spot. It's a good job the engine isn't any further back. It would never get the oil out of it. I mean, it just clears by about 2 inches there. Alright, come on, the oil's hot. Yikes. So I just went to lunch. I didn't think about it. The oil is scorching hot. So if you want to Colorado, you'll know on the V6 the oil filter is in the worst location in the whole entire world. This is enough to do a V8 swap right here. It's right there. Again, it's close to the frame rail, but it doesn't leak on the frame rail, and it drains super easy. Alright, so the clutch has done one thing we noticed on this car, and it's pretty common with 8th gens. If you remember the past video, George's pedal fell apart. Well, the pedal housing bracket, I would say, cracks. Even on the stock cars, which has happened to this one. It's not too bad, but it is cracking. George's actually broke and fell apart. Yours actually left you stranded, didn't it?
I was able to drive it home, but it was difficult. It's one of those things where you've got to shut it off to get it back in neutral, coast to a light, start it in gear, but it's cheaper than a tow truck, I guess.
Yeah, unless it trashes your transmission, then the tow truck is definitely a better option. So
Yeah.
you did well get it home.
I was almost home. Alright, so here's the clutch pedal out of the car. And it doesn't have anything super major, but right there around where the nut tightens down, it's got a small crack in it. And that crack isn't going to get any smaller, so it's time to repair. So that line, of course focus on my nail, but that line right there. So we'll get bigger from there, so if we fix it now, it'll be a lot better off than fixing it later.
So that's the weather in Pinellas Park today. It's actually quite chilly for us, but the funny thing is, what do you bet Esther comes in wearing like fuzzy boots and a big jacket and a hat and scarf?
Alright, so a little bit of extra metal there. My TIG welder just wasn't having a good time today. It kept sparking and whatnot, so I switched to the MIG welder, made quicker work of it. Also, put some stitches up here in the top and on this bottom side, because when this pedal is in the car bolted down, you can grab this and you can move it, because all of this is just spot welded. You can see the little spots. So those are the only welds in this pedal. It's just sheet metal and a couple little tacks, and that's it. So it's a pretty flimsy part, and that's why it cracks around the base there. So I welded a little bit on the top, a little bit on the other side, just to kind of stiffen it up, and it should be good to go for years to come.
Alright, Esther just arrived. Let's see what her winter outfit looks like. Hey, doggy! She's got her woolly jacket on this morning.
She does.
So my prediction where you was going to wear fluffy boots, jeans, big sweater, no hat and scarf.
No hat and scarf.
Do you have extra clothes in there in case it gets cold?
I don't.
Ah, so you got a Starbucks. Oh, it must be nice.
I did. Didn't you get one?
Oh,
already?
yeah, sounds delicious.
George said he
Where did
was
you get your
going
Starbucks
this
from?
morning.
Must
I
been-
got picked up at the...
Yeah, don't let you run away. Yeah,
Don't
no,
run away.
George brought a Starbucks this morning.
I was gonna say, I knew he bought you a
Look, she's
Starbucks.
like, I'm here to see everybody.
George, what's up, George? I'm gonna lick your feet while you're upside down.
Yeah, feels great. Give me a massage while I'm working.
That's right, that's right.
You're gonna run away, are you?
She's the pumpkin spice latte. Look at
She
that
looks
nose.
like it.
She is.
As George mentioned, if you take your 8th gen, you can actually bend these pedals side to side. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of force, but if you ever drive it over time, you realize that this gap is getting close. You can actually get this and bend it over because it's so flimsy. But now it's much, much stiffer and feels so much better. So the CRX is here. We're doing an oil change and a look over. We haven't done anything except wash it for the last 2,000 miles because it went to the Dragon meet. And then this Sunday it's going to the CRX meet, which is also known as Honda's to Orlando. I won't be there, but George is taking it. So if you're out at that meet, say hi to George. Come and see the car. Maybe he'll bring a couple of stickers or something. Maybe he'll take a selfie with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be wearing that hat,
I might.
but if he is, he'll be wearing that hat. All right, so they're going to do a raffle at H2O, so we're donating a couple of things, a spinner, a Honda H pen holder, and a couple of t-shirts. And if you come by and see George and say something nice to him, he'll give you an LHT keyring. These don't sell, by the way. These are exclusive if we like you or if you have an inspiring conversation. So come by and see George and he'll give you something.
Yeah, I'm not quite old enough to have a pocket full of hard candies yet, so it's going to be those.
It's going to be an LHT keyring. Maybe I'll throw some stickers in there too. Millman's here. All right, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget, click the like, click the subscribe, click the share, all of that stuff, and we'll see you on the next video. And George will see you Sunday.